Trump. All right, let's put this up there on the screen. So Trump's got a new PAC. It has raised $75 million this year. But so far, the group has not put any money into pushing for the 2020 ballot reviews that he raised the money for. This is from the Washington Post.
Surprised.
This is shocking. The group has not devoted funds to help finance the ongoing ballot review in Arizona or to push for similar endeavors in other states. So you guys might have heard all about the Arizona audit and the Georgia audit and all this stuff. Even Trump has been talking about it. Well, he's not helping fund it. So instead, the Save America Leadership PAC, and by the way, these PACs, they have basically zero limits on how you can spend that money, has paid for some of the former president's travel, legal costs, staff, along with expenses. And the PAC has held on to a lot of its cash. So what's very interesting is that, I love this sentence, even as he tracks attempts by his allies to cast doubt on the integrity of last year's election, Trump has been uninterested in personally bankrolling the efforts, relying on other entities and supporters to fund the endeavors. The tactic allows Trump to build up a war chest to use in the 2022 midterms on behalf of candidates that he favors, and to stockpile cash for another potential White House run. So, meanwhile, the audit in Arizona, which has cost millions of dollars and is being paid for primarily by nonprofit entities, mostly funded, it seems, by former Overstock CEO Patrick Byrne, a lawsuit and seeking a Fulton County has also been financed by small dollar donations, and he has yet to do anything with it. And this is what Pedro Gonzalez, who we've had on the show before, he's a right-winger, okay? He's not some never Trump person, has pointed out that this is all a grift, is that millions of people believed Trump when he said the election was stolen. Now, I think that isn't true, but those people don't listen to me. They listen to Trump. That's their right. It's their money. But what bugs me is when he raises millions and millions of dollars and then touts all of these audits, giving them legitimacy so that people throw money at groups which are then funding the audits, and he doesn't put his own cash on the line. Well, that's how you know whether it's real or not, if Trump himself is funding it. Otherwise, it's all just about ginning up the base and all that to continue to keep his claims going and money funneling into his pocket so he can use it for however he wants. And what's that gonna be? I mean, campaigning against Liz Cheney in Wyoming, campaigning against Lisa Murkowski in Alaska. I think people should pay real attention here to what exactly Trump himself is spending his money on. And it has nothing to do with any of these so-called audits that are going on, even though that is where the energy of the entire base is. It's a total scam that he's running on millions of people.
Yeah, it really is disgusting. And, abusing the trust that he has with this large group of people who, for whatever reason, believed in him, trusted him, gravitated towards him, still puts undying faith in him. When he says, well, you need money to fight against the stolen election, they pony up. Some of them, it's comfortable for them. They can afford it. I'm sure there's plenty of people who kicked in their 10 or 20 bucks for whom it was a real stretch to give this money as well. No,
this happens on people's Social Security checks and stuff go toward this stuff. Yeah.
And really thought that, the election was stolen and he's going to use this money to make sure we're going to set it right. And instead he's using it basically to fly around and do with it whatever he wants, stockpile it for a future run or to, make his enemies mad or embarrass them in the midterm elections. It really is disgusting. And the way that he routinely lies to his base and takes advantage of the trust that he's placed in him is one of the things that really disgusts me the most about him. Your point about look at what they're actually doing with the money rather than whatever they're saying is, I think, a really apt one. It reminds me of when all the Stop the Steal stuff originally happened, and we kept saying, look at the law, look at what they're actually doing legally. Forget about the press conferences and the tweets and the whatever. Look at what they're actually doing with their time. Look at the actual lawsuits that they've filed in court and what they allege and what they're able to actually prove, right? Look at the actions versus the Twitter feed. And I feel very much the same way here. he does not actually, he definitely doesn't believe the election is going to be overturned, doesn't believe that the election was stolen. He's using this as a rhetorical device to keep people energized so that he can run again in 2024.
Yeah,
That's really what it is.
And maybe even not. Maybe it's just to fund his travel and his political stuff all the way up until 2023. And then he's like, actually, I'm not going to run. But then he's got millions of dollars in the bank. He can bankroll whomever he wants.
Yeah,
and
well,
look,
and you wouldn't be shocked to learn that, you know, a lot of this is being funneled to consulting companies of this friend or that friend or this child or relative or whatever.
Yeah,
Certainly would not be the first time that would
there
happen
is
either.
not a lot of there are not a lot of strictures on how he is allowed to spend this money. He can basically do whatever he wants. And besides fundraising, just so you guys know, if anybody's out there who does donate to this stuff, Trump has been renting the massive trove of data that his campaign amassed to other candidates in exchange for a share of their fundraising revenue, which could ultimately prove another valuable cash flow for him. So not only is he taking people's money based on fighting the election results, but he's then taking your data. So he's taking your money and then he's taking your data and then renting that out to other candidates who he supports in exchange for their fundraising revenue to raise even more money. So it's not even one of those cases where if you're not paying for it, you are the product. You are paying for it and you're
the product. He did do one good thing, though, that I want to give him credit
Oh, yeah?
for, which
What's
is
that?
I don't know if you remember this. Ken Klivenstein, of course, pointed this out on Twitter. George P. Bush
Oh,
down
I
in
saw
Texas,
this. Yeah.
where he
Debased himself.
embarrassed himself and being like, my family may hate Trump, but I love Trump. I have unyielding loyalty to him. Well, Trump just endorsed against him in his race for Texas AG. Endorsed Ken Paxton. Not that I like Ken Paxton either, but as Ken pointed out, his one redeeming quality is how much he despises the Bush dynasty to the bitter end.
That's true.
That is, well, and that is the thing with him is like, I do think a big part of why people like him is because he hates all of the right people. There's 100%. A lot of power in that and drives them absolutely crazy. The bad thing is that the very people that, you know, he goes after the most aggressively, those are also the people who became the most prominent and got the most money and accumulated the most power during his presidency. So it may feel good to see him throwing those bombs at people. I enjoy it myself occasionally, but the reality is it's had the exact opposite effect that you would actually want it to.
Yeah, it really just, it makes me sad. And it makes me upset too. I remember, I've talked about it before, about this, this is when Limbaugh was still alive. It was around like before January 6th. And there was this guy who called into a show. He was like in tears. He was like, I would die for Trump. He's like, why aren't these Republicans doing anything? Like this election was stolen from him. And he's like, I've been putting all my money. He's like, and he literally is like breaking down, an emotional breakdown. You can make fun of him if you want to. I choose to see like a person alienated from society, old maybe, believes only Trump for somebody else. And in that situation, Trump is the one to blame, right? And Limbaugh, frankly, for pushing some of this stuff and allowing that. And that's what causes this mass flow of Social Security cash all the way into the Trump campaign coffers. And if you believe the election was stolen, if you believe that, would you not want Trump then to be fighting all out and funding these efforts? He's not doing it, which tells you what exactly is going on there.
Yep. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching.
That's right. Just as a reminder, you can become a premium subscriber today. Watch the full show completely uncut, our reactions to each other's monologues. You get to listen to it, you get to ask us questions, all that good stuff. Link is right there in the description or at breakingpoints.com.
Best of all, great way to say screw you to the mainstream media.